I guess is the.
The light?
Okay, it's on top, it's up here.
Oh.
Okay.
They've changed it.
I call this Sebastian Budget Review Advisory Committee to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll have a roll call, please.
Yes. Larry Napier?
I'm here.
Did I say your name correctly? Did I say your name correctly?
Say present.
Present.
Bruce Hoffman?
Present.
Harry Hall?
Present.
Terry McGinn?
Present.
Bill Middleton?
Present.
Amber Serta?
Present.
Dave Newhart?
Present.
Grace Reed?
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, next here is the introduction of members, name and appointee. Harry Hall, Council Member Fred Jones appointed Harry. Mr. Bruce Hoffman, Vice Mayor Dixon appointed him. Terry McGinn, Council Member McPartlin. Bill Middleton, Council Member Nunn. And I'm appointed by Mayor Dodd. Amber Serta is an at-large member. And Dave Newhart's an at-large member. And Grace Reed is an alternate member. Okay. Next on the agenda is selection of a chairperson. The floor is open for nominations.
I'll make the motion to nominate Larry Napier as chairperson.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. I'm not sure. I guess since there's a motion on the floor, I have to take a vote on that.
That'll work.
Okay. Let's have a roll call vote on that, please.
Would you say that again? I'm sorry. Roll call on
On the vote on the chairperson.
the chairperson. And who was the chairperson?
I can't hear you. Can you all hear her up here?
She's asking who was nominated.
Who was nominated?
I was,
Okay,
by Bruce Hoffman,
okay.
and seconded by
Dave Newhart.
Dave Newhart.
Are there any other nominations, or how do you do it?
You got to vote on that. That's the motion on the floor.
Okay.
How do you do a second nomination if you were going to?
What's that?
Supposing you wanted to add another nomination, when do you do that?
Well, there was a motion on the floor and it was seconded, so that has to be voted on. So if the vote doesn't, if it's negative, then you nominate again. That's how you nominate more.
Are you ready to take a roll call? Okay. Bill Middleton?
Aye. Yes.
Dave Newhart?
Yes.
Bruce Hoffman?
Yes.
Larry Napier?
Yes?
Harry Hall?
Yes.
Terrence McGinn?
Yes.
Amber Serta?
Yes.
Grace Reed? I don't vote.
It's unanimous, okay. Next thing on the agenda is, selection of a vice chairperson.
I nominate Amber Surd.
Second.
Surd, sorry.
I'll second that nomination.
Very good, and I will third it. Amber did a very good job, while I was gone the last meeting. I appreciate that. So we have a motion and a second for vice chairman of Ms. Amber Serta. Let's just have a voice vote on that. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's a unanimous vote as well. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes of the meeting of July 31st. Has everyone had a chance to read those and look them over? Are there any comments or corrections? Bruce?
None? Nope.
Nothing?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion moves unanimous. Next on the agenda is review of the budget calendar for the next fiscal year. I personally have looked it over and it looks pretty good. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 meetings scheduled. I think it's okay. I'll move it on down. I'll go down this way first. Harry?
I'm fine with it.
Fine.
Amber?
Looks good to me. I won't be able to make it to the next one, but that's fine.
I'll have to be here then, I guess. Grace?
All of the dates look good to me. I will have some medical things. I'm not sure about the next one, but if everything works out fine, I'll be here.
Okay. Bruce?
No issues.
Dave?
None, be here.
That's good. Okay, that's, I think that's a consensus. I don't think I need to take a vote on that. We've reviewed the budget calendar and we think it's fine. Comments by Finance Director Kilgore. Mr. Ken, you're up.
Thank you. So just wanted to kind of announce formally what my position is and what my plans are. The 29th of February will be my last full-time day. I am discussing with the city manager some capability that I can continue, particularly with the budget committee, until we get a replacement, get them on board and up to speed. So I will most likely see you next month, but I know I could only say that, it's always been a pleasure to work with the professionals that we have on this board, and I appreciate your comments along the way. Even though some of your comments weren't public, you kind of caught me behind the scenes and asked me questions, good questions, and I just value, any input that you've had to the process or to things that you may have questioned in advance of the public meeting, so we get some of that squared away. I think we've got a outstanding city staff. City manager is really hitting the ground running, so I'm trying to help him all I can, and I admire him to the extent that I want to do everything I can to make any transition as smooth as we possibly can do. So, other than that, I didn't get to the quarterly reports. We've got new auditors this year. They are delving into things somewhat deeper than the previous auditing firm did. I appreciate that, expected them to in a lot of respects, but there is a few issues, some GASB pronouncements and things that we're having to deal with, so I'm sure we'll get the report out, the the audited financial statements probably by the end of March. As far as my quarterly reporting, I have delayed doing the quarterly reports until I kind of get some assurance that my numbers aren't going to be contrary to what they're going to be reporting. So probably the March meeting, hopefully I'll have an updated report for you and kind of keep you abreast of where we stand financially and where we ended up last year, actually. So always glad to take any questions, or always available to consult with you if you have anything.
Ken, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you for the years that I have, and it's I wish you well in your retirement. It's life is good on the other side, believe me.
Yes.
Any other committee members want to say anything to Ken?
I will. Of course, I've only been up here just a short time, the last couple of years, but I've really enjoyed, and in our conversations, I've learned several things from you, and I do wish you well in your retirement. Like Larry said, it is nicer on the other side.
Thank you.
Because I know I've enjoyed mine, and
Appreciate that.
so good luck.
Yeah.
I'd like to say some things that I already said to Ken, but publicly. I guess I've been 2 or 3 years now, and when I first came, I was doing a lot of listening and paying attention, but Ken's a rock star, and we had 2 or 3 of those in the organization, and Brian's going to do a good job, but I think that Ken has worked diligently putting up with us and listening to all of our reviews and comments. So you're welcome to come hang out at my house anytime you want, Ken.
Thank you.
Eric?
It has been a pleasure, Ken. Working with some of the staff, and especially you answer our questions professionally. The budgets that you presented for us to review and for the board have been very reasonable and much needed in taking care of the needs of the city. And we can only appreciate and thank you for that.
Thank you much.
Bruce?
Yeah. Ken, it's been great. Yeah, I've learned a lot about government accounting from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obviously, yeah, much different than corporate. So it makes a big difference. Yeah. Also, yeah, it was nice the first few years also serving on the police pension board with you, with your assistance. Thank you. Welcome to retirement, like the rest of us.
Well, I'm still a neophyte to this board, but I have been greatly welcomed by you, and you've, started me on that path of beginning to understand the accounting of our city, but it's been a joy to work with you, and I do wish you the best in your retirement. I'm still trying to figure mine out.
Okay.
Ken, it's been a pleasure over the last year, and I hope you enjoy your retirement. And give me some pointers, because I've got many, many, many years before I retire.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Announcement of the next meeting date, which is March the 4th, 2023, at 6 p.m. There be any other business that
Yes.
the committee wants to?
Yes, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'd like to say a few words about something. Okay. First, I wondered how many of the people on our board have saw the last city council meeting or saw the YouTube of the city council meeting. There was, okay, so there was quite a discussion about the budget advisory board, and there was some positive and negative comments, and Ed Dodd had brought up the question about whether it was necessary or not necessary. And I've had that discussion with Ed a couple times for various reasons. I'd like to offer my comment on, oh, by the way, at the end, the council voted to keep the,
As is.
as is. But I've had thoughts all along, and I'd like to share a couple of those with tonight's meeting, if it's okay with you guys. I think that when we look at the budget, we're seeing Kent's presentation in the top-down view of it. I think some of our meetings are late in the season and just before the budget gets approved. And during that discussion in the city council meeting, they talked about more effort with the staff and the city manager and workshops. And I think that watching all of us work for 2 years, that we focused on a couple of, I'll call it favorite items, and we might have missed a few items along the way too. It would be a good idea if we could think about, as a group, think about whether we could have maybe a few less meetings and a little earlier in the season, the tax season, the budget season, and maybe a possibility of sitting in on one workshop with the staff. That would give us some insight into what was really happening and not just looking at the spreadsheets when we get them. Now, that's just my opinion, but obviously there was quite a bit of discussion about how useful the Budget Advisory Board was during that meeting. So if you didn't see it, you might want to pick up the YouTube and listen to it and think about what we could do to pick up on some more detail, or maybe look a little deeper or contribute with the workshop that the staff has. And that's what I had to say.
I was under the impression Councilman Dodd wanted this committee to have a little more push, if you will, and
okay,
the rest of the city council voted to keep it like it is, not to give it any more.
No, I don't think he said push. I think I've had a lot of personal discussions with him. I think that
as have I.
Yeah, he believes we could look at more detail and not focus on one or two items, and I won't go into that.
Well, then they need to change the procedures that we go by, because we don't get involved in the detail. It's not in what we're supposed to do.
That's not what it says. I just read it before we came in.
Yeah.
The mission is to review all the budgeting for the next year. And to review and we also review the financial results by quarter.
Right, but that doesn't mean we get involved in the staff level meetings. That is up to the city manager and the finance director.
All right, I just wanted to make my comments, Larry.
I appreciate that.
I really didn't want to debate it. I just wanted to throw it out there. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
As you can. Anybody else got anything they want to add?
Yeah, Larry, along those same lines, I could see where some additional input by the committee here to help the staff to find out a little more as to some of the things. For instance, when we look at the budget and it says they need X amount of police officers. Now, we're taking it at face value that is what is actually needed. Do we need more? Can we afford more? Well, or what's being presented to us is what staff thinks that we can get along with for a year. So I could see a little more input in that area. But then again, that depends on the city council. I mean, what is their edict for us to do? I mean, when I said on the sheriff's office, some years, some of the sheriffs wanted the input. They wanted questioning. Is this the right number? Should it be more? Should it be less? And it has to be less this year because financially you can't afford it. Things like that. More input in. Then there's been other sheriffs that, heck no, we don't want that. We want it at a higher level. So I've been operating here in my own capacity on the board with the assumption that we're to look at it from a higher level, and occasionally, if we see something that looks like it needs more individual information and input, to question that. So that's just my only 2 cents in it.
Well, if you remember last year when they requested additional police officers in the budget, I asked the question, how many officers per thousand is the level of service that the city of Sebastian has? And they wouldn't give me an answer, if you remember. So I did ask, it was asked.
Oh, no, what I mean is, should we be doing it? I think we should.
Well, all we can do is ask questions.
But to what detail, you know?
You know, we don't sit on the staff, or we're not involved in those staff level decisions that they make.
That's
What
true.
we have to look at the final document that's after the two top managers that handle the budget, the city manager and the CFO. When they put that document together, that's all the staff, they've taken all the staff input. That's really not our job.
Well, that's what I'm questioning, is over the years, I've often wondered, should that be our job or not? I'm not proposing it should or shouldn't, I'm just saying, what does the city council really expect from us? Do they want us to delve into it that much or not? I don't know.
I have a thought that maybe we should ask them. We could get with Mayor Dodd, who wasn't Mayor Dodd last year, but and since they progressed down to a decision that they did, and it's subject to interpretation what that was, there was an elephant in the room for me, and that elephant in the room was that the city manager was penalized for missing some big ticket problems with progress versus money spent. And in my opinion, we probably should have seen that, and maybe the city council should have seen it. And I'm talking about the wastewater management plan and the other things that we spent 3 years. And I'm not picking on them, I'm just saying, those were serious dollar items, and they were in the budget, and we review the finances every quarter, and I guess reviewing the finances means we should be looking for anomalies. That was an anomaly. So I would leave it for me anyway, that we maybe should ask the council what more we could do rather than just continuing to do what we do, because it was clear that it was a discussion in the last city council meeting. And it was on the edge for a few minutes.
Yeah, but when we review the quarterly report, it's a total. We don't look at the detail. It's not our job to view.
I do.
Well, you don't see the detail. You don't see those individual invoices that go into those line items for a telephone bill or whatever.
Well,
you don't see that.
Yeah, I do, because I look it up on the chart of accounts, which is available in the organization chart. I just looked at them this afternoon.
Do you have those expenditure things online, Ken, where they can see the detail of expenditures?
We do post the quarterly reports, you know, to the extent of that detail. Some years ago.
But it's a summation, right? It's line item.
Some years ago, we were asked to start putting on our webpage a link that shows every disbursement.
I looked at the chart of accounts today.
Oh, I haven't looked at that. I wasn't aware that was out there. If you're looking at that, hey, more power to you.
Well, I think...
I'll look at the audit. That tells me what I need to know. I'll look at the audit at the end of the year.
Well, you know what, Larry, I'm not saying we should sit and defend what we're doing. I'm saying we should get involved with the city council and ask them if we can do more. If we're gonna still exist, we should be able to do
that's up to
more.
the city council. They direct us. We're their advisory committee, and that's all we do. Remember, we're advisory.
But you gotta know what it is you're advising on. Right, Harry? Yeah.
Anything else? I'll have one thing to add. This meeting is adjourned.